Peace and welcome to Atlantis Build Talk Radio, the premier station for 5% Nation of Gods and Earth social commentary, interviews, musicology, and uncensored discussions about the science of everything in life. This station is a subsidiary of Asia and the Atlantis School for Gifted Youngsters at www.atlantischool.blogspot.com and Asia TV at YouTube/Quanaya. Quanaah. Peace and welcome to another edition of Atlantis Build Talk Radio. I'm your host, SaladinAllah, and in today's episode I'm going to be discussing the political science of the universal flag. Now, according to Universal Sham God Allah, the architect of the universal flag, it was the best of three that he completed in May of 1966. And upon completion, Sham God, Black Seed, and Gaiki went to visit Allah in Mattawan State Hospital to present it to him, yet the hospital administration would not allow them to bring it inside. Thus, Allah didn't actually receive that flag until he was released from Mattawan in April of 1967. Sham God gave us this meaning of the universal flag. He starts by saying that the five-pointed star symbolizes knowledge, the seed, the child with power, the supreme knowledge that was manifested by W.F. Muhammad and revealed to us by Almighty God Allah. It is solid black. The crescent moon symbolizes wisdom, the women without child. It shows reflected light, truth or knowledge, and is not yet at its fullest equality. It also symbolizes the divine wisdom that was manifested by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and revealed to us by Almighty God Allah. It is solid yellow. Together, the star and crescent stand for knowledge and wisdom, which is the unity of knowing it and speaking it, teaching. It also symbolizes the earth, woman with child, a planet that has life and the dominance the woman has over the seed, the child, or the knowledge while it is young. And it has been the symbol of freedom, justice, and equality since the awakening of Islam in the west of North America. The seven has seven sides. It symbolizes the original man, the true and living God, the supreme being, Almighty God Allah. Since the very creation of mathematics, seven has been the mathematical terminology for the creator of the universe. It is solid black. Together, this stands for the supreme understanding that was revealed to us by Almighty God Allah himself. It shows a unification of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, man, woman, and child, and shows the authority of Allah over the planets and stars in the proper order of the universe. The seven symbolizes the male seed in full bloom. It shows that God must be the Most High, the master of wisdom, culture, and equality at all times, because they are six and can never dominate Allah. So they must never remain in six or distill back to whence it came. Thus, no part of the crescent moon should ever show above the top of the seven. The white background symbolizes the white clouds of deception that have drowned our people in a sea of ignorance and the feeble attempts of the wicked to conceal the true and living God, which is the Son of Man. The cipher or circle around it is black, the original color of the sun. Anything that burns that hot and that long can't be yellow. This symbolizes the sun, the universal symbol of truth and light, and whose power can evaporate all clouds of deception, lies. The 8 points are the symbol of the ever-expanding universe and symbolizes the rays of the sun and the speed and distance that the truth is capable of traveling. There are 2 shades to each point. The left is black. The left represents the original black man. The right side is gold. The gold represents brown and yellow seeds, from the first of the brown to the last of the yellow. Just as Jacob separated the seeds, 200 years from black to brown, 200 years from brown to yellow, and 200 years from yellow to Caucasian. Allah taught us that each brother should have a seed. Thus he reunited the seeds. United, they are one. The 8 points are a sign that he is the master builder of rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes. The 16 sections of the points, one for each year and degree that our seeds or child must master before he is at the age of self-responsibility and required to teach civilization. Now, when our 5% nation began to grow amongst the youth throughout the boroughs of New York, Mayor John Lindsay, a liberal Republican, formed a relationship with Allah through his aide Barry Gotherer and executive assistant Sid Davidoff. Mayor Lindsay was a clean-cut lawyer by profession who graduated from Yale University, a former U.S. congressman and gunnery officer in the United States Navy. Lindsay was also affiliated with the Bush family. He actually ushered at the wedding for Nancy Bush, who is the sister of George Bush Sr., who was the head of the CIA. This is where Lindsay actually met his wife, Marianne, who was a bridesmaid at the Bush wedding. Barry Gotherer was an investigative journalist prior to becoming an aide in the Lindsay administration. His insightful, award-winning newspaper series, New York City in Crisis, laid bare the racial and social economic problems in New York City at this time. Considered a political hatchet job, this New York Herald Tribune series by Gotherer attacked the policies of the current Democratic mayor, Robert Wagner II, and it consequently painted an untainted picture of the New York Herald Tribune's endorsed candidate, Congressman John Lindsay. And this ultimately is what compelled Lindsay to add Gotherer and his narrative shape and expertise to his administrative staff once he was actually elected to mayor. Sid Davidoff was Mayor Lindsay's troubleshooting consigliere, another lawyer by profession and visiting lecturer at Lindsay's alma mater, Yale University. Davidoff was considered one of President Nixon's worst enemies. He was actually named among other political opponents as a part of Nixon's covert political enemies project list that was revealed during the Senate Watergate Committee investigating the Watergate scandal. So with Allah's street knowledge and cultural worldview, he, along with Lindsay, Gotherer, and Davidoff, were able to successfully produce projects and initiatives that 5%ers used to positively transform the landscape of Harlem and New York City as a whole. Now, according to our nation's elders, young 5%ers would be given a universal flag lapel pin with their righteous name inscribed upon it. Upon Allah's approval of our universal flag design by Universal Shamgod, the image was given to Mayor Lindsay to create flag lapel pins. Allah was not anti-government. He served in the military and he had respect for the laws of the land. So in collaboration with Mayor Lindsay's office, Lindsay had our lapel pins created by a company named Eagle Regalia, which is a long-standing manufacturing company that was founded in New York City in 1910, specializing in the production of banners, flags, emblematic jewelry, buttons, badges, plaques, and trophies. So in addition to our lapel pins, Eagle Regalia was also the company responsible for creating the licensed badges of the NYPD and other government agencies in New York. When a 5%er chose a righteous name and earned or was given a lapel pin, it was distributed at the Street Academy, aka our Allah Youth Center in Mecca, a property that was actually given to the 5%ers with a 99-year lease by the Lindsay administration in 1967. To receive a lapel pin, 5%ers were required to write down their honorable name or their birth name in a book and their righteous name beside it. Some lapel pins had names already inscribed on them. Other lapel pins were blank and were sent out to have their name inscripted. These lapel pins were more than just decorative symbols of our cultural identity, our accomplishments, and our sense of pride. They actually enabled Allah, in partnership with New York City government, to better organize, document, monitor, and deputize a growing youth movement into an unrivaled dynamic of power. A powerful segment of New York City citizenry that the New York Daily News partly described as the neighborhood's most respected. On the night of April 4th, 1968, when Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, Mayor Lindsay contacted Sid Davidoff and Barry Gotherer about coming to Harlem to pay his respects and offer his condolences to the people. Against their advice to not come because they couldn't guarantee his safety, Mayor Lindsay came to Harlem anyway and met with Barry Gotherer and Sid Davidoff along with Allah and a group of his 5 percenters. As they began to walk the streets of Harlem, people began to join them, and together they successfully stopped the Harlem community from rioting. During those early years of our 5% nation, our universal flag was more protected and functioned like closed source software or informal intellectual property that wasn't made available to the general public. I mean, anybody could not just get it or wear it. But times like that have since changed with the growth of the internet and social media. And up until the mid-2000s, it was pretty rare for people to casually wear our universal flag. If vendors in New York City were selling items bearing the universal flag, it was common for those products to be destroyed, taken, and or the vendor accosted by 5 percenters. I remember back in the mid-90s, I witnessed a young man almost get beat down by a few guys if he didn't take off a shirt that he was wearing that was bearing the universal flag. The young man was walking down 125th Street and was stopped by a few guys and questioned about the meaning of the universal flag. And because the young man had no clue what the flag meant, he was forced to take the shirt off or face immediate consequences. Now, after he reluctantly handed the shirt to one of the guards, he was also assured that it would be returned to him upon knowing the meaning of the universal flag. So this form of social pressure and cultural expectations were possible during that pre-social media age where you only really met 5 percenters in person. Nowadays, our universal flag has taken on more of an open source expression where the internet and social media in particular does not have the same in-person social pressure and cultural expectations. Thus, our universal flag is freely available, redistributed, modified across digital space on various different goods and services. And this has become problematic because any person can sell merchandise using our universal flag, edit Wikipedia information, make a Twitter profile, a Facebook or Instagram page, or etc. that bears our universal flag and share disinformation about our 5% nation that we don't have any type of legal control over. Now, one of the solutions that I suggested many years ago is for us as 5 percenters to invest in creating such a large digital footprint of positive, accurate, authentic content that it drowns out the disinformation. But this is no easy task, and it requires the same or even greater level of commitment to content creation than me. And I have been helping consistently expand our 5% Nation digital footprint for over 2 decades now. We're not quite there yet, and I think as we continue to push our culture forward into this blockchain age, it's important that we give all that we have and do all within our power to protect and control our narrative online and offline, or outsiders will. So in conclusion, our universal flag has done more than just exemplify our righteous names, reputation, and overall culture of the 5%. During the night of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination and other instances throughout the Lindsay administration and years that followed, our universal flag lapel pins became symbols of empowerment. They became emblems connected to our ability to teach, resolve conflicts, and address issues of truancy and juvenile delinquency in the place of law enforcement and other government agencies in our community. So in addition to Universal Shamgod's important meaning of our universal flag, it was and always will be a badge of honor that we should always, always protect. Appreciate you listening, and peace. Yeah, walk that walk, talk that talk, from here to any seaport, Mecca, New York. It's the Saladin, manifesting the hominin.